He used to call me brother, not because we shared blood, but because we survived together. Came up the same streets, fought the same wars, made the same enemies. He was the brain, the name, the public face. I was the shadow behind him. The one who silenced problems, buried threats, fixed everything with a knife, a threat, or a lie. We built it all from nothing. Gangs, muscle, deals that turned to empires. No one touched us. His name was Marcus Vale. Mine was Tyler Kane. For 10 years, I was his right hand, his enforcer, his cleaner. I disappeared bodies and made witnesses forget what they saw. I never asked for credit, never needed it. Marcus handled the spotlight. I kept the wolves off his neck. Until the Vegas deal. It was supposed to be routine, a shipment of product through a new route. But someone talked. The feds were waiting. We lost the truck, 2 men got arrested, a third got clipped during the escape. It was a bloodbath, and the kind that attracts headlines. And Marcus panicked. He called me the next night, said we needed to contain the story, said we'd meet alone, just us, like old times. We met in a back alley off 5th Street. He was already waiting by a stolen Buick, face tight. "I need you to take care of something," he said. "Loose end, can't be traced." I nodded, trusted him, like a brother. I got in the car. That's when I felt it. A needle in the side of my neck. Instant burn. My vision blurred. Muscles locked. I tried to turn, but he slammed the door. Through the haze, I saw him. Calm. Focused. He pulled a pistol and fired through the window. 1 shot. My ribs exploded in fire. Then the smell hit me. Gasoline. All over the seats, the floor, the trunk. He lit a match, tossed it through the broken window, and walked away. The heat hit fast. The air went solid. Flames curled across the dash. I screamed, but no one heard. The windows cracked, skin blistered. I kicked and clawed and begged, but all I saw was the shadow of my brother disappearing down the alley without a look back. That should have been it. But the car door broke loose when the gas tank ruptured. Threw me clear, burning, bleeding, broken, but not dead. Some junkie found me hours later and dragged me behind a dumpster. Thought I was a corpse, left me wrapped in a blanket. It took weeks to move again, months to walk. I lived in the basement of a dying hospital under a fake name. No ID, no past. My skin was a map of burns and scars. My lung collapsed twice. I coughed blood and woke up screaming. I looked in the mirror and saw something else. Not a man. Not anymore. When I finally stood without crutches, I didn't think about justice or revenge. I thought about erasure. I wanted Marcus to lose everything, slowly, without understanding where it came from. I wanted his empire to rot from within, piece by piece. I wanted him to watch the world we built turn to ash before I let him join it. So I disappeared. Let the streets believe I was gone, dead. A footnote in a bad deal. The man who took the fall. And while Marcus rose higher, glossier, cleaner than ever, I worked in shadows he thought were empty. I started with his men, not the loyal ones, the greedy ones, the ones who grumbled behind his back. I found them, studied them, showed them glimpses of power, gave them reasons to resent, reasons to turn. His enforcer Travis liked girls too young and pills too strong. I leaked footage of both to a rival crew, let them dangle it just out of reach. Travis disappeared in the desert one night. Marcus blamed a cartel. I left a necklace in the sand that only I could have given him. He didn't notice. Next was his banker, Leonard Marks, the man who cleaned the books, scrubbed the wire transfers, kept the IRS at bay. I sent him a single photograph. His daughter, walking to school. Alone. 2 days later, Leonard emptied the offshore accounts and vanished into federal protection. With his cash flow gone, Marcus started sweating. He tightened his circle. cut deals with lower crews to stabilize. That's when I hit the shipments. I found out where they were stored, replaced his trusted drivers with ghosts of mine, rebranded his product, sold it under a different name, told the streets Marcus had cut his supply with trash to save cash. Fights broke out. Respect collapsed, clients walked. Marcus responded with blood, killed 2 lieutenants on suspicion, buried them in a warehouse. Didn't know one of them was feeding me information. He was cracking, not fast, but visibly. I wore masks when I watched him. Different cities, different clothes. I once stood 10 feet from him at a club. He didn't recognize the man who limped with a cane and ordered a whiskey in silence. He had new friends now. Politicians, lawyers, men who smiled too easily. He didn't trust them, I made sure of that. I sent them fragments of his past, a murder weapon, an old photo, a name scratched into a matchbook. They started pulling back, slowly, carefully, like rats leaving a burning floor. He felt it, the shifting weight, the eyes in every mirror, the whispers behind him that never stopped when he turned around. He went to see a psychic once, desperate. I bribed her to tell him what I wanted. "You betrayed a brother," she said, "and he walks behind you every day." Marcus didn't sleep for weeks after that. He moved homes, fired half his staff, but it didn't matter, because I was already inside. I had turned his drivers, his lieutenants, his mistress, and even the bartender at his favorite club. I knew when he woke, when he ate, who he called, every move, every lie. And when he reached for help, no one answered. That's when I planned the finale. I wasn't going to shoot him, or stab him, or burn him like he tried to burn me. I was going to leave him alive, and I was going to make him beg me not to. The first time he knew I was alive was the night the house exploded. Not the main one, the old one, the place we started in. A 2-story on Melrose we used for early meetings and gun drops before we got serious. He hadn't touched it in years, kept it as a backup stash for documents and regrets. I knew because I had stashed things there too, things he never found. I let him get there just in time to see it light up the sky. It wasn't for money. I didn't care about the contents. I just wanted to scorch the last piece of history we had. And I wanted him to watch. He stood in the rain as the flames cracked the roof in two. No sirens came, I made sure of that. No neighbors screamed. I paid them to leave. It was just him and fire and the name Kane carved into the pavement with a knife. He staggered back from it like it burned him too. By the next morning, Marcus was in full lockdown. Security tripled, windows sealed. He moved into a hotel under a false name and kept a gun on every surface. He changed phones every 3 hours, slept in 20-minute intervals. Wasn't paranoia. It was knowing. He didn't have to ask how I survived. He knew I had. He just didn't understand why I waited. That was the point. I had waited so that when he fell, he wouldn't fall alone. He'd collapse with every soul who sold their conscience to his empire. So I turned to his outreach arm, the fake charity he used to funnel bribes and bury bodies under tax write-offs. Future Bridge. It had pictures of kids on the brochures and bodies under its boardroom floor. I sent an entire file to the IRS. Bank statements, fake ID applications, photos of Marcus shaking hands with city officials he was blackmailing. Names, dates, wire transfers, account numbers, all of it buried under years of silence. All of it mine. The news broke in 48 hours. Future Bridge CEO under federal investigation. Reporters camped outside his hotel. Protesters threw red paint at his cars. The mayor distanced himself. Sponsors dropped out. Marcus watched it all from the top floor, behind blackout curtains, with a drink in each hand and a twitch in his eye. But I wasn't done. Next was the warehouse. The one in Port Charles, the last real hub he had. Weapons, money, blackmail folders, all the secrets no one knew he kept. I burned it to the concrete. It took me 6 minutes to rig the thermite charges. I used a stolen van and a cop uniform. No one stopped me. I waited in a boat offshore and watched the place collapse into flame and screams. Every file, every shipment, every photo, every dollar in cash melted into red ash. And on the dock, where he once made his first big deal, I left a picture of me in the hospital, bandaged, charred, half a skull. He didn't show up in person. He sent 3 men. They never made it back. Marcus panicked. He started calling the old network, asking about me, begging some, threatening others. But they were mine now. The few he still trusted had already been turned. I didn't kill them, I just made them disappear, one by one. It was like peeling a man's skin off, slow and methodical. I knew when he stopped sleeping. I knew when he stopped eating. I knew when he fired the last loyal guard because the man twitched too suddenly at the sound of a glass breaking. I wanted him isolated, paranoid, hollow. And then I came for his legacy. The night before the final strike, I walked into his club, the one he had named Brotherhood. Full suit, black gloves, scars still visible on my neck, half shaded beneath the collar. No one stopped me, not anymore. I stood on the main stage while the music cut and the lights changed. Then I threw a crate of documents on the bar. The same documents I had used to dismantle his business. Paper snow, drifting onto marble. Proof of betrayal. Proof of rot. All his sins. The guests cleared out. Some ran, some stared. The staff scattered like roaches. The power died. Then the backup lights came on, and there he was. Marcus, standing across from me for the first time in 3 years. He looked older, smaller, like something had chewed through his heart and left it beating but empty. He didn't reach for a gun. He didn't move at all. He whispered my name. I smiled. He dropped to his knees, said nothing, just knelt there like a man waiting for judgment. And I gave it to him, but not with bullets. I opened a laptop and pressed play. Footage I had recorded from every step. The stash house, the betrayals, the fake phone calls, the lies he told men who thought they mattered, the way he said Cain will take the fall while sipping scotch. He watched it all. And then the screen changed. I had wired the club with explosives, real ones, enough to bring the place down with both of us inside. He looked at me like I had gone mad. I leaned in. "I'm not here to kill you," I said. "I'm here to kill everything you were." And I walked out. He screamed, begged, cried for someone to stop me. But there was no one left. His empire was dead, his name ruined, his accounts frozen, his allies vanished. He crawled out of the building just before it lit up the skyline. They found him on the street, curled into himself, whispering my name to no one. He didn't die. I made sure of that. He lived, but not as Marcus Vale, kingpin, untouchable. He lived as a ghost. And I, Tyler Kane, the man he left burning, made sure he stayed that way. They kept Marcus in a private psych facility under a fake name. I watched from a distance as the papers spun the story. Former business tycoon suffers mental breakdown amid scandal. They didn't print the full truth. They didn't know it. Just scraps. A man with burned bridges and no one left to lie for him. I knew the building. White walls, steel doors, too clean, too quiet. The kind of place rich men disappeared into when their sins finally pulled the mask off. I didn't visit him, not yet. He still had too much left. Not money, not respect, something deeper. Memory, remnants of the empire we built. I wasn't finished, until that crumbled too. So I turned to the street. Marcus used to say reputation was worth more than bullets. It was why people feared us, not just because of what we did, but because of what they thought we were capable of. Now I turned that same fear against him. Beneath the thick layers of ice, I started with whispers. Went to old neighborhoods, left files and dead drops, spoke to lieutenants who thought they were out of the game, told them Marcus had talked, said he'd flipped on everyone, gave up names, deals, murders, fake transcripts, doctored recordings, enough truth to make them sweat, just enough to make them doubt. I sent word to the Eastern crews, said Marcus had been a federal asset for years, showed them bank accounts they never knew existed, payouts, backdoor deals, the kind of numbers that made men paranoid, the kind that got old friends buried in shallow graves. The last loyal few turned on each other. In less than a month, 3 crews tore each other apart. The name Vale became poison. Men who once toasted to him now erased him from memory, like he was the disease that ruined them. Graffiti started showing up on alley walls. Raider. Toast. Cain lives. The streets that once bent under Marcus's name now spit on it. He became a myth, not a man, not feared, pitied, forgotten. And that's when I finally went to see him. I walked into the facility with a stolen badge and a name tag that read Dr. Ray. No one questioned me. I knew the staff schedules. I'd studied them for weeks. Marcus was in the East Wing, room 204. He sat in a chair by the window, staring out at nothing. No shoes, gray robe, skin pale from too much silence. His beard grew wild. His eyes, once sharp and silver, were vacant. He didn't recognize me at first. I pulled the chair across from him, sat down. He blinked, focused, then froze. I didn't speak, just handed him a newspaper. The front page read, Cain Syndicate officially declared defunct, no survivors. His hand shook as he read. He looked up at me. You, he said. That was all. No apology, no tears, just one word. I nodded. I could have let you burn, he whispered. You did. I could have shot you in the head, been clean. You weren't. I made you? No, I said. You built a lie. I was the truth behind it. He leaned forward. There was still defiance in him, a spark under the wreckage. You think this makes you right? I smiled. No, just final. I stood, walked to the window, and looked down at the empty courtyard. Then I reached into my coat and placed something on the table beside him. That was a picture. Us, 15 years ago. Young, untouchable. Blood on our knuckles, a warehouse behind us. The day we took the South Docks. I'm leaving that so you know, I said. I didn't do this because I hated you. He didn't move. I turned at the door. I did it because I loved you. The door clicked shut behind me. I never saw him again. He died 6 months later, alone, stroke in his sleep, the nurse said. But I knew the truth. He died long before that. The moment he saw the empire he built fall into ruin. The moment he realized I hadn't come back for revenge. I came back for everything. And I took it. They buried him in a box with no name. No family claimed the body, no ceremony, no eulogy. Just a patch of dirt in a city lot where men like him went to disappear. I watched from a hill across the street, under a hood and behind mirrored glasses. No one else came. Even the gravedigger didn't ask questions. Just lowered him down, tossed earth over the casket, and lit a cigarette before walking off. That was the end of Marcus Vale, but not the end of me. I had survived what most men wouldn't. I had done what most wouldn't dare. Burned his name, his money, his legend. Crushed every whisper that once protected him. Made him kneel in the ruin of the house we built. Then left him to rot in his own silence. And still, I wasn't at peace. People think revenge is fire, quick, loud, final. But it's not. It's cold, patient, a tide that rises slow and drowns everything before anyone realizes they're under. I didn't kill Marcus out of rage. I didn't want him dead when I crawled from the flames. I wanted something worse. I wanted truth, and the truth was simple. He never saw me as his brother. He saw me as a blade, a thing to be used, and when the blade got too close to the throat, he tried to discard it, thought he could bury me in gasoline and leave with clean hands. But a man who lives in the shadows remembers everything. Every word, every silence, every lie. After the burial, I went back to the only place left untouched, a shack in the hills 2 hours north of the city. It was nothing but dust, tools, and rot. We had used it once to hide after a deal went bad. I never told anyone it still existed. Inside, nailed to the wall, was a map of the city. Red lines where our power once spread. X's where bodies dropped. Circles for the places we had dreams of claiming. It had been untouched for a decade, faded, cracked. A monument to ambition. I sat before it and lit a single match. Watched the fire eat through memory. And when the flames reached the base, I left. I had nowhere else to be. The city didn't belong to me. Never did. I had cut the head off a snake, but the ground still pulsed with new ones. That wasn't my war anymore. I wasn't looking for a throne. I wasn't building anything. My war was done. In the years that followed, I lived small. Changed my name. Took jobs that kept my hands busy and my thoughts still. Sometimes I worked docks, sometimes I drove trucks through towns too broken for questions. I left my past buried with Marcus. But every year, on the night he lit that car, I returned to the alley where he walked away. Not for closure, for reminder. The scorched marks were gone, the street was cleaner. New bricks, new lines. But I stood there all the same, remembered the heat, the taste of blood, the betrayal. And I smiled, because I had survived what he thought would kill me, and I had taken everything from him without lifting a single blade in rage. That was the lesson. Vengeance isn't loud. It doesn't come with a roar. It whispers, and this was. It watches you build your castle high. Then it takes your bricks one by one while you sleep. And when you wake, your throne is gone, your crown turned to ash, and the only one watching is the shadow you left behind. I was that shadow. Not anymore. Now I was just a man, burned, scarred, hollow in places where blood once ran hot, but alive and free.